In life, we encounter people every day, all of whom have stories to share. We rarely take the time to ask people their personal stories, many of which will touch, move, and inspire us in some way. Matt has a passion for making authentic connections and learning about people from all walks of life. He has lived a life of giving back to the community and making a difference in people's lives. Are you ready to meet fascinating people and hear some inspiring stories? The Matt Hilton Show will introduce you to a world of possibilities you never knew existed. Sit back, be present, and enjoy. Here's your host, Matt Hilton.
Hey everyone, Matt Hilton here, the host of the Matt Hilton Show. Thanks for tuning in today. Today's guest was a teenage mom, and she has turned her life and career into one of helping female celebrities and female C-level executives learn how to love themselves. And she states that when that happens, everything else falls into place. You don't want to miss her fascinating story. Stay tuned for a word from our sponsor.
Inspired, experienced, customer-focused. Find a mortgage that fits your needs with Maria Leach at First United Bank Mortgage, specializing in construction and closing all types of loans, including jumbo, portfolio, conventional, FHA, and VA. A tenured team, outstanding service, competitive programs. Finance your dreams with Maria Leach at First United Bank Mortgage. mleach.firstunitedteam.com, 214-316-7915, mleach@firstunitedbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey everyone, Matt Hilton here. Thank you for joining us today on the Matt Hilton Show. I'm excited to introduce to you my guest for today. So Toye, I met her here at the studios actually. She was here being a guest on another podcast. And so I asked Toye to join us, and so I'm so glad that she's here. One thing I want to mention real quick is there are 3 things that are different in today's show than all my other shows. And if you can guess all 3 of them in the comments below, let me know. I'd like to know if you pay attention enough to see what's different. So that being said, Toye, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Yeah. So I don't know much about you, right? We just met here in the halls, and
right.
I know a little bit, and we'll get into that in a minute about something that you created that I'm excited and you're excited about talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Toye and like where you grew up, what did you do, like some fond memory. Give me one fond memory of your childhood.
Wow, I have a lot of fond memories. I guess this will be the gateway or the door for me to go ahead and start my story. But
sure.
One of the fond memories that I had was, or that I still have, is that I lost my mother at the age of 9 to lupus.
Okay.
So basically hi everyone. I am Toye Penny from toyepenny.com, and I am a luxury well-being strategist for celebrity and high-performing CEO moms. I'm also the creator of the Love You More method. And so I help them put their oxygen mask on first so they can save everyone else around them. And how I do this is I privately, exclusively guide them through the Love You More method. And so in order, Matt, to understand my brand and who I am, you have to understand my story.
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned before, my mother passed away of lupus when I was about 9 years old. I had a lot of childhood trauma growing up. Mother passed away of lupus when I was 9 years old. I didn't know my dad until I was 18 years old. So I was sort of an orphan, basically. I was sexually abused at 13, and I became a teenage mom by the age of 16, had her 1 week into my 17th birthday. And so I knew that I wanted to up level and provide for my daughter. I just didn't know how that was going to look. And actually, once I gave birth to my daughter, I was 1 week into my 17th birthday. And I remember being in the hospital holding this baby girl. And I remember looking down at her saying, "It's just me and you. It's just me and you." Mm. And I remember her looking up, her little innocent eyes looking up in my eyes. We locked eyes, and I told her I won't disappoint. And from here on out, I don't know, it was something that just lifted out of me, and I just took off. So from there, after, I gathered up out of the hospital.
Can I ask you a question real quick before you continue there? So you said something to your newly born daughter, mm-hmm. I will not disappoint.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Very heavy.
When you said that, what did you mean by I won't disappoint?
Wow. So I knew that I had been disappointed a lot in my childhood. And from that moment, even before I gave birth, I already knew that I was the example for her.
Mm.
And I knew that I was going to be a different type of leader for her. And so when I said I won't disappoint, that is what I meant. And I meant that with all of my heart, that I won't disappoint, that I'm going to lead you in a way that I have never been led before, and then in a way that you need to be led in this life.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that little
Yes.
extra there. So
Yes.
you're in the hospital. You just said this to your young daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then, like I said, something just lifted out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so returned home from the hospital as I start to parent this child. I'm still in high school. And I graduated high school. She was about 1 year old. And so I immediately went off. I wanted to do makeup. I wanted to be a makeup artist. And I had family in LA. And so my family at this time where I was, they was telling me, no, you need to stay close home, whatever, because you have a child. So I was like, okay. So anyway, I end up going to massage therapy school.
Mm-hmm.
And I finished this massage therapy school, and I immediately got hired at this high-end luxury day spa. So this sort of introduced me to the luxury world. I was 19 years old. I was able to move out of the house, of my grandmother's house, and then had my first apartment, first brand new ride. But listen, I was there for about 2.5 years when the owner came to me and asked me if I wanted to buy the place.
What?
So I'm like, wait, what? So I'm like, of course. Like, yes, I knew this was going to be my ticket out. I knew it. Listen, this was an 8-figure company. And I had no training, no background, no anything. So I'm like, yes. So what I did was I bartered services with a couple clients who were attorneys. They represented me in the sale. The next thing you know, I am a newly 23-year-old CEO, owner of a high-end luxury day spa. I had 15 employees. I'm running an 8-figure company. I'm a single mom. And I'm like, wait,
Wow.
what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did all of this just happen? So I am, congratulating myself. I'm excited. I'm nervous all at the same time because I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot, So I had my baby plus my 15 employees. So that's like 16 children,
Right.
right.
And your daughter's 6 at this point, right?
Right.
Okay.
So she's about 6, at this time. So
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay, yes. So I am, y'all. Listen, I built my first home from the ground up at the age of 24. My daughter and I traveled for nothing. We traveled the world. We wanted for nothing. But here's where the downfall happened for me.
Okay, before we get to the downfall,
Okay.
I want to go back to that where the owner of the company came to you and said, do you want to buy the company? Like, that doesn't just happen to everybody. So did he say why you? I mean, I'm sure that you asked the question, like, why me? Isn't there somebody else that you like? So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I was just being me. I was just being Toye. I was coming to work on time. I was motivated by the money that I was making. I mean,
Sure.
It was great. It was amazing. And I was just being me. The owner actually wanted to go into something else. And so she saw something in me that she didn't see in everybody else.
Okay.
And I was just being me.
Yeah.
That was it.
That was it.
That was it.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if there was some like.
Nope. She saw value. She saw value in me. She saw potential in me.
Yeah.
And on top of that, so I'm the youngest one, working there. Like I'm the youngest one.
Right.
And so now I take over this company and everybody's older than me. And, man, it was a whole different, world. It was a whole different world.
Sure.
And so, I was so excited. I was so excited. It was absolutely amazing.
Were you pinching yourself? Like,
yes.
Is this really happening?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even my family was like, wait, what? I'm 23 making more money than them, so everyone was just really shocked that this happened. But there was something inside of me that was not shocked. I knew that I was destined for greatness. Like I knew, I just knew.
Where did you get that from, Toye?
That has always been in me. And as I explained to you, I had all of that stuff that happened to me at a young age. And it was just a knowing. It was a natural knowing that I was here for a purpose. I'm here for a purpose. Not only I didn't mention, but not only did I find my dad at 18, but I found out that I was the other woman's child. So I was the result of an affair, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just so much. It's so much on a person. But I know, and I completely understand now that there was a reason. It was a reason all of that happened.
Mm-hmm. But at the time, you don't understand the reason.
Don't understand
Right?
the reason. Don't understand the reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know there's something inside of me. There's a knowing. There's a knowing that helps me understand that I'm here and I'm destined for greatness.
Mm-hmm. Have there been times that you've doubted that?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets proven over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I love how you're smiling and lighting up when you say
it's
that. Yeah.
amazing. It's just amazing.
It's good stuff. Okay, so before I interrupted, you were about to go into a downfall, I think is what you called it. So
downfall.
what happened?
So I'm running this 8-figure company
Mm-hmm.
at 23. I noticed the downfall that I had, as you know, I had a lot of unresolved childhood trauma. I had no time to spend with my daughter. We were eating out every single day. My mental load was all over the place. My well-being was falling apart. My relationships was falling apart. And my complete identity became so wrapped up in this brand and this company to where nothing else mattered. I started to develop this facade of, I have it all together in my career. Simultaneously, things on the back end were falling apart.
Mm-hmm. And that facade, or a mask, whatever you want to call it, a lot of people wear those facades and masks today, don't they?
A lot of people wear the mask.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people.
And what was the reason that you had your facade going on? Like, why did you think it was important to have that mask on?
Well, I mean, because I was a leader. I was the leader. I was the one that everyone looked up to. I was, my daughter looked up to me. My employees looked up to me. My team members, everybody looked up to me. Even my family, they all looked up to me. And so you start to, you walk with your head held high, and you got the money, and you got the home and the cars, and your outer appearance look good, and all of that looks good, but silently you are struggling.
Yeah. Don't you think there's a lot of people silently struggling?
Oh, there's a lot of people.
There's so much out there right now. I mean, and you speak to what you went through.
Yep.
But there's so much that other people go through too, because they're afraid of the judgment.
Exactly.
They're afraid of the criticism. They're afraid of how their inner circle may turn on them or turn their back, or whatever that may look like.
Right.
So there's all sorts of reasons for people to have those masks on.
Yep.
And they aren't able to be authentic.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So you had this facade.
So I had this facade, and I'm just like, when I realized that, it actually sparked something in me, because I was like, man, I'm this self-aware that I'm able to notice that, I'm carrying this. Now, no one told me. Now, there was some people in my family like, oh, she thinks you all that, or, whatever, ex-friends or whatever. But no one really just came up front and told me. I became self-aware, and I knew this is not like me. This is not how I was meant to lead.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like you were disappointing your daughter at that point?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you had made that promise to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the disappointment at that point, what do you think that was from? Were you able to go to her events at school? Were you missing some? Like what? How were you disappointing her at that point?
Yep. So because I didn't have time for her, I was missing events. I would send like my grandmother in my place. And it was funny because not funny, but at the age of 10, I remember one time she had a soccer game and I sent my grandmother in my place because, I was at work, running the company. And, this is when puberty kicked in or whatever. But she said to me, she is not my mother.
Mm.
Like, you are my mother and you're supposed to be there. Like, you're supposed to be there.
Okay.
Yeah. So especially around.
She called you out a little bit.
Exactly. They will call you out.
They will.
Call you.
Kids don't care.
Yeah. So around 10 is, like I said, puberty started kicking in and she really just, she was like, you are supposed to be there, not her.
Mm.
So that was another, light bulb moment for me. And by this time I was sort of fed up by my actions. Okay. I was really fed up. Now, like I said, the company was still running. It was still doing great. Everybody.
And how many years are we into it at this point?
So, we're probably about 4, 5 years in,
Sure.
So, everybody's excelling. Everyone's doing great. The company's still making money, mad money, but I just started to notice, like I said, that, I wasn't living up to my promise. Yeah, I wasn't living up to my promise. And that's really good that you said that and you brought that out. But yes, I really, I was aware that I wasn't living up to my promise.
And Toye, I hadn't heard your story before.
I know.
And that was one thing that I, as a father of 4, right, I picked up on, right? Because it's like you make a promise or a commitment, right? And I could just tell that as a mom, as a fellow parent, right, that was bothering you.
Yep. That was really bothering me. And so even though I was providing the material things for her,
sure,
that now the discipline was there, but that love and that nurture aspect of me was not there. It was not there for her.
Right.
But yet she had the material things. And so as I realized this and as I came to know this, I was like, okay, something has got to give. I can't do this anymore. So what I did was one night, she was doing some homework in the room and I stumbled upon this school. It was like a nutrition/lifestyle school. So I immediately enrolled and I was there for about 2.5 years. And I learned one of the things that really stood out to me, that your lifestyle, your food, all of that was directly connected. So I was like, wow. So the light bulb went out for me again. I had a lot of light bulb moments, but it went off for me again. And I realized that all of the childhood trauma that I had in my, growing up, that I had never dealt with that. And what happened was it had started manifesting and showing up in my actions as a CEO, as a mom, and as an individual. And it was preventing me from going to the next level in leadership. And I was also modeling this same behavior before my daughter.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, wow. So anyway, I started to dive into myself, started to really work on myself, started to work on these childhood wounds that I had, the trauma, and all of that. And I knew that I wanted to get married, have more kids. I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? And so I attracted this young man from the U.S. Virgin Islands of St. Thomas. He took me there to St. Thomas for my birthday one year. And on the plane ride back, you know how you're on the plane ride and, everything's all quiet. You had a great time and everything is quiet. But there was this loud, clear as day whisper in my ear that God had said, sell your business. I'm like, sell my business? Clear as day again, he said, sell your business. Trust me and sell your business. So I was like, okay, sell the business. Now, mind you, I'd been there since I was 19. Like I grew up with these people and this money was good. And I'm like, sell the business. Are you sure? So
What's next?
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So I hired a broker. This broker found this lovely husband and wife couple. The next thing you know, I am signing on the dotted line. Cash is in my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm out the door. I'm like, wait. Once again, I'm like, what just happened?
Right.
So, I'm crying. I'm all of that because I was really attached to this company. I was attached to this brand. I mean, hey, I started there in 19 and I owned it for 7 years. And so, I'm just like, oh no. So anyway, after I sold the business, I immediately get married to the young man from the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas.
Okay.
I began running toyepenny.com. We immediately get pregnant with one baby girl, and then we had another baby girl. So at that moment, in that season of my life, my oldest daughter was 13 at the time. I'm pregnant with one baby girl, breastfeeding another, running toyepenny.com and dealing with the clients and all of their stuff. I'm a newlywed, and I'm literally breaking down. Like, my oldest daughter is now 13 and she's starting to act like a teenager.
Going on 21.
Oh, yes. So I am, trying to deal with that, and then growing one in the womb, breastfeeding one, serving these clients, being the wife that I need to be. And I literally almost lost it. I went to my room one day and I fell down on my knees and I said, how do I maintain myself yet maintain everyone else around me? Once again, the word was clear as day. When you're whole and complete within yourself, everything else falls into place.
Can you repeat that one more time?
When you are whole, look, I'm gonna look at the camera.
Look at the camera.
When you are whole and complete within yourself, everything else falls into place. Everything. So I knew at that moment that it started with me.
Now you say that, but I heard you say earlier that you had this something within you, right? That told you that you were destined for greatness, right? That you just had this burning desire within you, right?
Yep.
And now you're at this point where you're saying, it's time.
Yep. This was a confirmation. This was it. It was confirmed.
Yeah.
So between that time of selling the company, the first company, and then, getting pregnant and get pregnant again, and then, going through life again, it was sort of lost, But this word confirmed that I was destined for greatness.
Sure.
And that it started with me. And when I was whole and complete, everything else would fall into place. And so I began thinking, and I was like, wow. So all of a sudden, I remembered, the way when my daughter was acting out. Now, I did say that I was a disciplinarian. Like everything was in place. I mean, she was good. But when she started acting out, I started yelling at her and why are you doing this and all of this stuff. But you know what? I saw my reflection in her. And that I was really yelling at myself. And, I come to this and I'm like, oh my goodness, because it's me that I see in her. And so when I came up with the Love You More method, after I heard that word, I knew that this was a method that would help everyone. Now, I service a certain type of audience, but this method it will help everyone.
Right.
And so as I came up with this method, I started seeing, I just basically started putting things together. And as I was, being pregnant with one and then breastfeeding another and then raising her and then missing sleep and then all of these different things, I just started putting these elements together. And I came up with this 8-step method. And like I said, I called it the Love You More method. And then on top of that, I started doing research. And I found that not only was I suffering through this, that there was a hole in the service market for these celebrities and high performing CEO moms, that there was nobody really for them, that they were there for everybody else and everyone else, but there was no one fighting on their behalf. So while they're suffering, as you know, most of the time we're the counselor, we're the chef, we're the chauffeur, we're the chef, we're the, the sex with the husband, the lover, we're everything. And a lot of times our team members, we have to be there for our team members, and everyone's coming to us, and we're surrounded by a lot of yes people. But there is no one that is actually there for us. No one there supports us in every step. I mean, yeah, you may hire a therapist or something like that, but it's more transactional.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can hire an executive assistant or something, but it's
not the same. Not the same. So then after I started putting together the research and I found that there was a hole in the service market for that, I was just like, okay, this is me. This is what I'm going to do. So I created this team of people along with the Love You More method. I have a concierge team. I partnered with a female psychotherapist. They have my love, my accountability, my support. And then we have the 8 elements of the Love You More method. So I want to break down your well-being for you, if you would like. So I broke it down into 2 separate parts: your primary elements of your well-being and your secondary elements of your well-being. So your primary elements, they nourish you, but they don't come on your plate. So your primary elements are things like your mental and emotional peace, a meaningful spiritual practice, relationships that nurture your soul, never-ending self-investments, intentional quality sleep, empowering physical activities, and a thriving career. Your secondary nourishments of your well-being is the foods that advance your well-being. So if you are overindulging on your primary elements of your well-being, then you tend to underindulge on your secondary and vice versa.
Sure.
Now, because we are ever evolving, this is always changing. A lot of times people struggle with, so like element number 1 is mental and emotional peace. For me, my mental and emotional peace was, my trauma, my mother passing away and whatever. So a lot of times it shows up. It shows up in, how we lead our team members. It shows up how we be the wife that we need to be. It shows up in how we are parenting. It shows up and it prevents us from moving to the next level. Then we start to, do things that we're not supposed to do. We overdrink, we overeat, we oversex, we gamble, we overscroll. We do so many different things. We yell at the Starbucks lady. We're popping pills. We're doing drugs. We're doing so many different things to fill those voids.
Right.
And so, but a lot of us, like I said, we carry this facade of, I have it all together.
And everything on the inside isn't right.
It's falling apart.
Wow. Well, Toye, I have a couple of questions to ask. Like, going back to, you said that you saw yourself when you were yelling at your daughter, right? When she was acting out. That you're actually yelling at yourself. And I see that, from time to time, in what I do and what I say, I see my mom or I see my dad, right? You didn't meet your father until you were 18, right? But you knew your mom. Do you ever you remember things about your mom that you see that come out in you at times?
I do. It's not anything that I saw then. It's something that I see now, actually. When I look at her pictures, because I'm I'm on my own Love You More journey. But as as family members are, starting to give me pictures and starting to give me pictures and all of those things, I see that, she was a fashionista, she loved clothes, she loved to sing. I have a powerful voice. So I inherited some of those things, some of the characteristics. And when I go around family, sometimes they say, you are so much like your mom. They call me different. You are so different, just like your mom. And so I understand that it's generational.
Yeah, it is.
It's generational.
Yeah.
Our trauma, our mental behavior at times, our emotions, it's generational. And it's picked up by the leader that was set before us. And we pick up these habits and we don't even know.
Right.
And so the ultimate goal of the Love You More method is so that we can model well-being for generations to come. That's the ultimate goal. I'm actually going through this high-powered person to get to the next generation. I'm after the next generation.
Right. Wow, that's so powerful. Wow.
Yep.
So as you have created this great brand, I want to know more about what is toypenny.com. Like you said, when you were breastfeeding one and you had one in the womb, one in the oven, right? And, you're raising your 13-year-old, like you were running toypenny.com. Like what were you doing over here at toypenny.com?
So I went to school. I went to this lifestyle/nutrition school. So I was a holistic health counselor. Then. And so I was running and I called it toypenny.com. It's still toypenny.com. But it wasn't till later until God gave me the vision of these high performers, these celebrities and these high performers. So he said celebrities and high performers. So I'm like, how am I going to get to these people? Like, how am I going to get to these celebrities? And so he gave me that Hollywood was basically falling apart. These high performers, these 6, 7, and 8-figure CEO people, they're falling apart.
Yeah.
Because they are literally public figures, but they are silently struggling.
Because if they pull off their mask or their facade, they feel like, right?
Exactly.
They're going to be judged. They're going to lose their following.
Exactly.
All that.
And not only that, these people have children. So, yes. So I'm going, like I said, they are these celebrities and high profile people, but they also have children at home.
Yeah.
So that's the criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are also modeling this same behavior before their children.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are dying off. So I give you an example. Whitney Houston, Kate Spade. Whitney Houston, much like myself, she had some childhood trauma. She used drugs to fill those voids. And not only that, she modeled this same behavior before her daughter. Both of them are no longer on this earth due to the voids and trauma that her mother had. Had nothing to do with the child and everything to do with the mother. So this is the example that was modeled before her. Kate Spade, done a lot of research on her. One of the things that she said was the hardest things to do was to be a $1 billion CEO and be a mom at the same time. She already struggled mentally. This heightened her depression. And she did not reach out for help because she felt like it would tarnish her brand. So once again, this identity was wrapped up in this brand that nothing else mattered. She committed suicide in 2018. Her daughter was 13 at the time, which is the most crucial time for a child in their life, 13. Committed suicide at 13. Her daughter's now 16, growing up without her mother. So because I have this hands-on experience of what it's like for children to grow up without their mother, I am the CEO Mom Interventionist, where I intervene in their life and I privately guide them through all 8 elements of the Love You More method. And like I said, along with my love, my accountability, my support, I also added the science behind it because we need to know what's going on. So I added a food sensitivity test. I added a gut health test. a sleep test, and a blood type test, and also a Ninja Foodie multi-cooker. So when we get to that secondary element of the well-being program, I fly out to my clients. I spend the whole day with them, give them a VIP day, and give them a cooking class with the Ninja Foodie, give them a pantry declutter, and give them a shopping tour so that they can understand how to quickly get in and get out of the grocery store. So like I said, remember, I was telling you, because I was so busy, we was eating out every single day. I could afford it. We was eating out, and food it plays a part. It plays a part. You could be eating anything right now that is not in alignment with you and your body, and is slowly taking you away from your purpose. A lot of these people that I work with, they know that they have a purpose, they have a calling, and they're very good at what they do, very good at what they do. And so because, for example, Whitney Houston, very good at what she did, very good at what God had blessed her with. But because she had these voids and this trauma, her life was cut short.
We could go on and on. I have so many other questions I want to ask you. I'm going to have you back. Will that be okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Have me back.
Very, very good. Wow. So your ideal client, speak to the camera and let them know who that is and how they can get in touch with you.
My ideal client is a celebrity or a 6, 7, and 8-figure woman. She's a leader. She's leading in her industry, but she also has children at home. You can get in contact with me at toyepenny.com or email info@toyepenny.com. I'm everywhere on social media at Toye Penny.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, Toye, thank you again for being here. And before I let you go, there are 3 questions I have to ask you.
Okay.
So I'm the Chief Happiness Officer of a nonprofit called Who Do You Know?
Okay.
And it is a nonprofit that I founded December of 2021.
Okay.
And we're focused on inspiring people to imagine again and to dream.
Okay.
In any walk of life by making connections.
Okay.
And so we make connections in 3 different pillars. On a person who's living that you want to meet, a place that you want to go, or an experience that you want to have.
Okay.
So even someone like Toye Penny, right, can have dreams that you haven't fulfilled yet.
Exactly.
Right? And so I want to ask you those questions. So who is a person that is living that you would like to meet?
I'm sure, everyone would like to meet Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah Winfrey. Okay, there we go.
Yes.
Is there a place you would like to go that you haven't been to yet?
I have not been to India.
Oh.
I would love to serve those women over there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I see that as maybe a future calling.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And is there an experience you want to have that you haven't had yet?
An experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've never gone bungee jumping.
Bungee? So I guess you haven't done skydiving either.
No. I'm going to overcome that fear.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So bungee jumping. So y'all heard that.
Oh.
So Oprah Winfrey, go to India and to help the women there and to go bungee jumping. Not skydiving, but bungee jumping. So Toye, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
and again,
you
I do want to have you back because there's so much more. Like, I want to know who the male version of you is, because what about the male celebrities that are dads and that need to show up for their kids too, right?
I have something coming for that too.
All right, fantastic. Look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank you for being here today, and tune in next week as we have an amazing person who is fascinating and has an inspiring story. Thank you for being here today. Bye.
The Matt Hilton Show would like to thank our sponsors, Hilton Realty Advisors and Maria Leach with the First United Mortgage Group. The Matt Hilton Show would also like to thank our partners, the Who Do You Know organization. You can find out more at wdyk.org. If you'd like to contact Matt or know a fascinating person with an inspiring story that would make a great guest, reach out to the show at themattHiltonshow@gmail.com.